Blog Talk Radio.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
Contra Radio Network presents the Roundtable Report, a discussion of today's issues. So the kid gloves are off as we listen to real answers from real people. Come and join us on the Roundtable Report.
And good evening, John Jeffers here. Contra Radio Network, the Roundtable Report. Tonight, episode 315, the Roundtable Report for the 24th of May. We got the chat room open on the BTR website. We also have the video feed going. Maybe this time, Facebook won't be crazy and freak out. I'd like to welcome the NSA and the field office in Las Vegas for the FBI. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you want to call in, please do. We always have a lot of questions we'd like to ask, and we won't be trapping you. One of the things I want to talk to you about before we get started in the Roundtable Report, recently on Facebook, there's been a meme going around about with sovereign citizens. I'm going to give you my personal take. I've dealt with sovereign citizens before. I am not going to sit here and tell you what you can and cannot believe in, or what you should or should not believe in. I'm going to give you my experience with them. You make the decision. You make the choice about what it is you want us to do, obviously. What I can tell you about this is I have seen people get involved with the sovereign citizen philosophy and movement. It has, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it ruins lives, it's unreliable, and people get hurt with it. And I don't mean hurt, well, sometimes they get hurt physically. But more often than not, it's how it changes their lives for the bad. The one I'm talking about is talking about the driver's licenses. You don't need a driver's license to drive in the United States. And they quote some, I don't know where they get it. They quoted some Supreme Court decision. I went on the SCOTUS website last night. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that site anywhere. Most of the stuff that they've posted is state court decisions. What they don't tell you is many of them were not sustained at the next level after they were appealed. They were remanded back to the lower courts for trial. My personal, this is a true story. True story alert, this is true. Sitting in court one day, and we knew we had a sovereign citizen coming in. The courts are used to this. And the judge was listening to a bench trial. He took a moment to get off the bench because he wanted to go check a point of law, which is good. I think I've got all the respect for a judge who will say, I don't know it all. Give me a minute. I want to go check up on the site. I want to read it real quick. I'll get back to you. So he gets off the bench, and no big deal. Courtroom's full. It's a small claims court. And what happens is the guy gets up. And I'm watching him, stands up and says, I'm seizing control of this court. I look at him and I said, you're not seizing anything. You're done for the day. So, the judge is back. He has no idea what's going on. So he gets escorted from the building. And he comes out, I give the judge a report of what's going on. So they just gave another new court date. Nothing else happened on it. Eventually, what it was is this, and I want to use the guy's name. He bought 2 Harley-Davidson motorcycles. He hadn't paid them. Harley-Davidson says, look, either give us the money or give us the bikes back. That's all. That was all they wanted. Give us the money or give us the bikes back. Well, he wasn't going to do this or that. Eventually, the sheriff's office goes out to get the bikes. I mean, this is, months later. They're giving this guy every opportunity. Either pay for the bikes or give them back. That's all they wanted. They didn't even want they just want, those are the two things they ask for. Give us the money you owe for the bikes, or give them back. Sheriff's office goes out there with a court order to seize the bikes. He's obviously not going to come to court anymore. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. Okay, fine. Hey, Jane. She's on the video feed. I'm glad Jane's here. So anyways, ends up with a standoff with this guy at his house over 2 motorcycles that he didn't want to pay for. This is the nonsense. And of course, when you see the filings of the sovereign citizens, is this. They're usually in red and black ink, and they always cite the Uniform Commercial Code. It holds no weight in court that I know of, especially when it has nothing to do with commercial aspects of business transitions, transactions rather. So meanwhile, what comes up then is, I don't know how other states work, and I don't pretend to. I know here in Illinois that they keep a list of all the sovereign citizens. Now, what happened about 7 years ago? Somebody got this bright idea. They were out in McHenry County. That's the next county west of where I live. And they had a big seminar. And we had this rash of people coming in thinking that they're going to tell the courts what's what and that they know this and they know that. It didn't work out real well for them. It just didn't. And these people got hurt in court. I mean, hurt, at one point, some kid, I want to say a kid, he wasn't a kid, a young man, over 21. He comes in without a lawyer, without anything other than this handful of stuff that he heard about at this goofy sovereign citizen thing. He lost everything. He didn't lose his house. He lived with mom and dad still, and I get that. I don't care. But he lost he lost his college fund. He lost, that's what it was. It was a car crash. That's what it was. It was a car crash. He had minimal insurance, and for some reason, he thought that this was the answer. Well, it wasn't. The insurance, because it was a minimal policy, they paid $25,000. And they said, okay, we've done it. We've fulfilled our contractual obligation. They're out. The kid owed $75,000 more. He lost his college fund and everything, only because he did not avail himself to for lack of a better word, what normal people would do. Go get a lawyer, fight this thing, do what you got to do. No, he went in spouting about Uniform Commercial Code, and he had this and he had that, and the judges were not impressed. And if I said, this has nothing to do with this, they're two different animals. What am I saying is this: look, do not get involved with the sovereign citizen stuff. And when I said that people do get hurt physically, I point to probably the late 90s. There was a shootout on a traffic stop in West Memphis, Arkansas. State trooper pulled some guy down because he had the cardboard license plates that said, sovereign citizen and whatever else. It was goofy. So the trooper pulled him down. While he's dealing with the father, the son jumps out of the car, the teenage son, who had about, I don't know, if I remember right, 15, 16 years old, jumps out of the passenger side with an AK-47 and guns down the trooper. Needless to say, all hell breaks loose. People, they ended up killing the father and the son in a Walmart parking lot in West Memphis, Arkansas. Why? Because dad had bought into this whole goofy notion of the sovereign citizen. So anyways, that's my thing. Now, I will never, ever tell my host, whether it's Julie or Dawn or anybody else that comes on the show, what to talk about. However, CRN is mine. I paid for the trademark on there, the logo, and they could talk about just about anything else, but I do not want them So they're advocating for this sovereign citizen stuff because all it's going to do is get people hurt, and eventually, somehow, some way, it'll come back to me. No, not going to happen. So I will talk to them about it. I'm sure Dawn and I have already talked about it, but I will never tell them what they can and can't talk about except for that, because it hurts people financially, emotionally, physically. Don't need that kind of problem here. Yes, I will advocate for patriots to go out and counter-demonstrate against Antifa and all that other stuff. I've got no problem with that. Anyways, let's get back to the show. If you want to call in, our number is 516-453-9389. And we are going to talk, let's see, is everybody in the chat room? Oh, Tim is in the chat room. Kilroy's in the chat room. Tim A is in the chat room. Jim W is in the chat room. And a new person, What If? Welcome to it. All right. Okay. What if they want to talk about? Okay. Normally, during this time, what I like to do is I like the listeners to drive the show. You guys want to talk about prepper stuff, by all means, please do. I've got no problem with that. That's what that's all about. Because I can't always do it all. And I don't really want to do it all. I don't. I like participation. And I got some of the smartest listeners. I really do when it comes to this. So smart, even Jane. Now people are saying, who's Jane? Who's Jane? Jane is one of my former coworkers. And she did her job very well. We're still friends today. We still do our thing on the Facebook thing and yak at each other. And that's fine. Even she's smart enough to tune into this. Because she's smart. Like the rest of you listeners out there. Okay, let's talk about the 13 prepper uses for plastic sheeting. You know, oh my. Let's get this down here so I can actually know what the hell I'm doing. Okay. There are a certain number of items whose number of uses is almost limitless. Duct tape comes to mind, paracord. But another item that certainly deserves consideration for one of the most useful things you can have is plastic sheeting. From collecting rainwater to making a shelter, there's no end to the number of things you can do with plastic sheeting, also known as visqueen. Now, I'm gonna list, I'll give you a few of uses that plastic sheeting is perfect for. Number one, waterproofing firewood. Look, firewood doesn't burn very well if it's sopping wet. We know that. Conditions for building a fire may already be difficult. The last thing you want to deal with is wet firewood. Fortunately, wrapping your firewood supply in plastic sheet is a great way to keep it bone dry no matter how hard the rain comes down. Plastic sheeting can also be used to keep your matches, clothing, and anything else you might need to shield from the elements completely dry. Number two, collecting rainwater. Though it might ruin your firewood, rain can be good for some things too, namely providing you with fresh drinking water. You just need a way to collect it. And making a catchment area out of plastic sheeting that drains down into your container is a good way to start. Number three, making a shelter. Now hopefully you'll be able to put together a better shelter than one made out of plastic sheeting, but if push comes to shove, a plastic sheeting can keep the wind and rain off of you, at least until you can make plans for slightly more adequate living conditions. Right, Julie? Building a solar still. Look, if you're like Brian K., who lives in a desert area, or some other point in time when rain isn't in the forecast, collecting rainwater to drink may not be an option. Now, in such situations as these, building a solar still could save your life. Now, solar stills work by heating up the soil until the water in it evaporates, then capturing that water. To build one, all you need is to dig a wide hole in the ground, secure a container at its center, line the hole with plastic sheeting, and secure the edging of the sheeting around the hole's perimeters with large rocks. Then place a fist-sized rock at the center of the sheeting directly by the container. Wait a few hours, and you'll have a supply of fresh, sterile drinking water. How about covering the ground? Now, whether you need a clean place to skin an animal or just want to avoid sleeping on the dirt, plastic sheeting is great for covering an area of ground in a clean, sterile surface. How about patching leaks and broken windows? Now, you can repair a lot of damage with some plastic sheeting and a roll of duct tape. From patching leaks in your roof to covering a broken window of your vehicle, plastic sheeting is the perfect material for makeshift repairs. It is. It's true. Creating a quarantine room. In the event of a pandemic, you need to create a quarantine room to keep from exposing yourself and loved ones to the disease. Especially important if you decide to take in someone who may or may not be contagious. Lying in a room with plastic sheeting allows you to create a quarantine room where people can be kept until the disease runs its course or until it's proven that they are not infected. Building a greenhouse. The ability to grow plants year-round proven valuable during a disaster scenario. Now, to do this, in most climates, though, you will need to build a greenhouse. While there are expensive greenhouse kits you could purchase ahead of time, a wooden structure covered with transparent plastic sheeting will work nicely in a pinch, allowing you to grow food all year. How about putting up blackout curtains? Now, if the power's out in your neighborhood, the last thing you want to do at night is broadcast to the world that your home has power. Desperate people would jump at the opportunity to steal your generator. They do, and they will. To keep the light from shining through your windows, you'll want to make blackout curtains, and black plastic sheeting is the perfect material to use. A little bit of a thick black plastic sheeting and a few nails will allow you to keep the power on at night and still keep a low profile. Protecting your plants from frost. You know, we talk about that. Waterproofing containers. Let's say you have a large container, such as a barrel or a small swimming pool that has sprung a leak. You can easily waterproof it again by lining up the plastic sheeting. Now, this container can then be used to collect or store rainwater, used as a place to keep live fish, used to bathe in, or use it in any number of ways. How about trapping heat? Now, during the winter, heating your home may prove to be a constant challenge. So in order to keep your home as warm as possible when the grid is down, you'll want to limit the amount of space that has to be heated and close off any unused spaces and areas. So to do this, cover the entrances to unused areas with plastic sheeting and cut them off from the source of your heat. In addition to doing this, plastic sheeting can be used to block drafts coming in from doors, windows, that kind of thing. Okay? Plastic sheeting is not the best insulator, but it does block airflow pretty well, making it a convenient way to better control the climate in your house. Okay. Number 13, how about this one? Body bags. Okay, so this one is pretty grim, but in a worst case scenario, there are going to be a lot of dead bodies out there. To avoid the smell and prevent the spread of disease, you can wrap them up in, let's say it together, plastic sheeting. There you have it. 13 uses for plastic sheeting. All right. What else? Okay, let me check here. I've got callers. We're going to get to all your callers right now. Okay. All right, area code 847. Go ahead, check in.
You forgot to mention covering your feet to keep them dry. Maybe you mentioned makeshift raincoat,
We did that, yeah. No, we covered it.
I guess the whole keeping the feet dry is
All right. Area code 845, check in.
I got another phone call coming in. I'll be right back.
Yeah. How you doing? It's Mike from New York.
Mike from New York is checking in.
How's everything?
Do
Checking in with you. Just listening to the show.
that will work. All right, welcome, Mike. Area code 318, go ahead, check in.
How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
What's going on?
Just sorry I tuned in a little late. I just tuned in a little bit late, so I'm just getting caught up to speed.
All right, get caught up then. You are caught up. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? It's the Roundtable Report. You guys make the call. What do you guys want to do? I see Porky Will's in the chat room.
Whatever you feel like.
Oh, no. This is for you, the listeners. You guys chat what you guys want to chat with. Tonight, I'm drinking alkaline water again, with ice, of course. Yes. I did talk to Terry today, this evening. He's got 3 ideas for shows. He may call in tonight, he may not. It depends on what he's doing, and he'll discuss them. the ideas he wants to do for shows. I think you guys will like them. I think you'll find them very informative. Oh, caller Mike from New York dropped off. That's okay. We still got the live video feed going on Facebook on the CRN like page. Feel free to join in. I know somebody said, well, sometimes the audio isn't caught up with the video and doesn't match up. I get it. It's annoying. I get it. But I will tell you this, though. If you're doing the podcast or you go to the CRN like page, you go to videos, you can sit there and watch it, and it's just fine. It works out good. No RC. No, sir. No, Jim. No RC tonight. I just don't need the sugar. I just don't need it. Now, we've got...
Water's better for you anyway.
I agree. 100%. Okay, shall we talk about we could talk about, you know what, I want to discuss this with you guys. I just want to put it out there. As we're all aware of the terror attack in Manchester, have any of you seen the video taken from the dash cam? If you do, or if you want to you haven't seen it and you want to catch it real quick. The guy is like parked across the street from the arena and the dash cam's rolling, and on the left side what you will see is a slight flash that bounces off the buildings. Then about a second after that you'll hear the boom and you'll hear the driver. My point is this. What is that noise? Who is it? Okay, it was Gary. It's like he was skinning a cat or dragging his nails across a chalkboard. I don't know. We'll get back to Gary. We'll just put him on mute for a while. He can still get it. Listen to the show. Meanwhile, my thing of it is this. Granted, I would not allow... back then, I would not allow my daughter, who is 8 years old, I wouldn't even allow her to go to a concert by herself. Hell, probably until she was 17 or 18. Either her mom usually took her to concerts. I did not. She went to go see the Miley Cyrus concert, which I just wanted to cut my head off. I said, "There's no way on God's green earth I'm going there." But that's another thing. All right. What I want to talk to you about is this. We saw this at the last terror attack in Paris at the Bataclan. The Bataclan was where they were doing the concert, and the ragheads managed to get themselves into the show itself, into the venue itself, and they had a field day. But this time, security. That same night was also the night they tried to hit a Paris soccer match. Security precautions stopped them from getting into the venue. And the same thing happened in Manchester. So my thing of it is this. I guess if I was going to be going to first of all, I don't like crowds. I just don't. As the older I get, the less tolerance I have for all the nonsense. It's just the way it is. But,
I'm back.
Oh, very good. But one of the things that I wanted to say was perhaps it's time to teach your children or your family, if they don't already know, if you haven't already talked to them about it, it would seem to me, and this is what we've learned, especially in the Middle East when it comes to these terror attacks. First, you have the main event, and they go ahead and they detonate whatever they have. But there's usually, and I'm surprised we didn't see it this time, but usually there's a secondary device that they keep in reserve for the first responders. Or for, if they were smart, and they're not stupid, to think they're stupid and you consider them stupid, you're doing yourself a disservice. Always assume your opponent is smarter than you. That keeps you ahead of the game. Is this. I want you to think about this. Tactically speaking, if it was bad enough that they stopped him from, they stopped him, at the outskirts, from getting inside the venue, but he still detonated it by the security checkpoint. What if he had a secondary device So the first device goes off, everybody's panicking, everybody's trying to get out. How do we know that they didn't plant a secondary device at another exit point? And I think we need to discuss these tactics with our kids and our families that go to these concerts or even a sporting event. Let's say, here, perfect example. Cubs are World Series champions. I don't like the Cubs. My wife does. I don't care. But
Grande concert.
they're at Wrigley Field. They sell out every game at Wrigley Field. And there's only 2 or 3 main exit points out of Wrigley. So let's assume that they target the main exit point and then lie in wait with a secondary device at another exit point as the crowd starts to feed on itself and everybody's panicking to get the hell out of there. So everybody's rushing to, exit B. Exit A has already been hit, so people are avoiding that like the plague. So they go to exit B or exit C, whatever, and a secondary device goes on. Or what about a suicide bomber? Mixes in with the huge crowd that's outside the main exit. And they're all sitting on the streets, milling about, talking about the game, whatnot. This guy gets in the middle there, and boom, he detonates it. I guess I'm not trying to scare people. I just want people to think about this. Yes, usually it's one device per suicide bomber. But what if we have more than one? Or what if we already have one that's remote controlled, remote detonated? All I got to do is dial a cell phone. I guess my point is, welcome guest 1484, welcome to the show. I guess my point is this. Maybe we should be talking to our children about how to avoid, or at least be smart enough to think things over, because when you got 30,000 people panicking trying to get out of a particular area, it's very easy to get caught up in that herd mentality. And maybe we need to teach our children and our wives a little different. Like, perhaps, maybe, okay, you heard the rumble. People are panicking. You can either jump in with it. Welcome, Dimensional Mystic, to the chat room. Appreciate it. Maybe we should teach them. Stay put. Let the herd, the thundering herd, go by. Because maybe that's what might save their life. Instead of trying to get the hell out, I mean, like I said, and Porky Will says, Porky Will's in Northern Ireland. He says that's why cordons are already set up at different distances and location at each incident, and anyone who is involved were treated as suspects. Well, that's true, but you're still talking about the herd mentality here, and maybe we need to teach our children. And okay. I'm going to lose some listeners on this. I know it. I'm going to say it anyways. I'll put it out there. In many respects, Manchester has always been a refugee sanctuary type city. They've held their protests. They've held their demonstrations in favor of this, of those ideals that they hold so high. In some ways, I don't sympathize with them. Yes, I'm sorry that their children were killed. But their parents allowed it. They chose to go with the refugees, to go with politically expedient, what made them feel good about themselves, instead of making the hard choice, standing up and saying, no, no, no. Look, you don't believe me? Poland has not allowed any refugees in their country, and they don't give a damn what the EU says. And they've already come out and said, we are not going to accept any refugees, ever. And yet, strange enough, they haven't had any problems there. At least no terror attacks to speak of. But getting back to Britain, yes, they voted for Brexit to get out, to get the hell out of there. But they still are stuck with 3,500 terrorists, more or less. So you can't keep them all under surveillance. We get that. On the other hand, here in the United States, how many of the terror suspects have been on the FBI watch list, have been interviewed by the FBI, and yet somehow, some way, they managed to go and do their deed? Whether it's the Orlando nightclub shooter, the shooter at the Fort Lauderdale airport, the San Bernardino shooters. What? You got to get in front of the event. You can't always be reactive and go, oh, gee whiz. Then we go to Facebook and we change our icon. And we send prayers and we send thoughts and we send our sympathies out. That's useless. Let's be honest about it. It's useless. It does nothing to stop the attacks. It does nothing except make people feel good. Then we have people who are bitching about Trump's, ban, and their main saying is, well, what about their civil rights? Well, what about our civil rights not to be killed or injured by a terrorist? My civil rights count just as much as anybody else's. My rights stop where your rights start. And nowhere does it say I have to be a victim to anybody or anything. Okay. Oh, my. Okay. I think I got to be fired up here. That's good. More. I see there's Mike from New York's back in. He's back. That's good.
I had a call. It was Trump. He told me to say hi.
Well, you tell the president. You tell the president I said hello too. I see Gary's back now.
Fine. He said he was very impressed with the West Wall, and he's looking for the contractor that built it. Yep, wants some bids.
I want some bids.
Wailing wall there, yeah. Very impressive.
Oh, there's a wailing wall, all right.
No, I couldn't. Yeah, that's it. I couldn't agree with you more about that because first off, did you see where they said that the guy had been in Libya and he just got back a few days before Libya? Don't
Yes.
you think that should have been more than a red flag for them to pick the guy up and bring him in and find out what the hell's going on? Like, no, that would show Islamophobia. No, the common sense is out the window. Their rights mean more, and we don't want to seem like we're afraid or anti-Muslim bullshit. Enough is enough. The guy just came in from Libya.
The BBC talked about that. Why didn't their neighbors, upon observing the peculiar behavior of this kid, why didn't they report it? And they said they didn't want to be labeled. They didn't want to seem intolerant.
They didn't want to be labeled. Oh, so the politically correct, people are paying for the political correctness with their lives now.
Right.
That's what's happening. And we mentioned concerts, we mentioned large sporting events. Now, we did have some terrorist events that happened on American soil, but not so much by ISIS, but more so by crazy gun owners. There are some gun owners and there were several examples of mall shootings or in parking lots. So I don't think they should be omitted from the list of potential targets from terrorists.
No, I'll tell you what. There, what you have to do is you have to look at one thing, not about crazy gun owners. You have to look at the lunatics that are walking among us because the government started in the late 40s shutting down the asylums in the name of making a buck, saving money so they could use money out of a different pocket of finance, put these people out on the streets where they're living in halfway homes, living and walking among us. And I mean, a simple, I think I said that on your show before, a perfect example of it is an article from 2013 that was in New York where Governor Cuomo released 3,000 or 4,000 lunatics from the asylums and let them live free among us. And psychiatrists are coming in, doctors are coming in and telling the state, we have no way now to make sure they're taking their meds. And some of these people are psychotic, and you're letting them free.
Obama actually released a whole bunch of prisoners as well prior to the end of his term.
So now you let these people loose on us, and the minute they do anything with a gun or a knife or anything else, the government's their answer is, we need more gun laws. Oh, those crazy gun owners. No, it's not the crazy gun owners. It's the lunatics. We need lunatic and criminal control. That's what we need, not gun control.
Oh, yeah. I spoke about this briefly last month. Yeah, they always say gun problem. But when there's lots of people being hit by cars, do they say car problem? No, of course not. Because But for guns, yeah, blame the gun. Don't blame the wielder of the gun. Don't blame the questionable history, the character of the person holding the gun. Will always blame the gun. I'm so sick and tired.
I mean, it's bad. I hate to say
over and over.
But for 2 years now, I mean, for at least 2 or 3 years, if there's a public event, a fair or something else, if there's a limit and they won't let me carry, I won't go. I mean, I'm licensed to carry concealed, and it's not going to happen. I go to a movie theater, I'm licensed. I've got a license in New York, concealed carry, and I'm not going to be a victim of it.
All right.
And,
okay, look. I am tired. You know.
I seen an article on Facebook where the person that was giving that concert was supposedly irritated at Trump and how he banned all this other stuff to stop terrorism. And I found it ironic that it was her concert that had terrorists attack.
Right. There's video out there of her saying she hates America. She hates Americans. She is an absolute bonehead. But I don't, you know what? The bottom line is this. The UK has the same problems. When it comes to politicians, the UK has the same problem the United States has. They're spineless. They lack the moral courage and moral certainty to stand up and say what needs to be said because they are so afraid of being labeled. They're afraid of being labeled homophobic, Islamophobic, yada, yada, yada. Grow a set, people. And the UK has it even worse. There was some commentator, and she got on there and raised holy hell about the fact this was an attack by an Islamic terrorist. She's under investigation for a hate crime now. What the hell is going on over there? Where is Porky Will? Porky Will, he'll tell you about it. He's out there. It's nuts. Somebody said, because I guess hurt feelings mean more than murdered children. And we're more worried about somebody's feelings getting hurt. Are you kidding me? It is so nuts over there. And you know what? And the only way it's going to change, the only way the crown's going to reverse itself is if enough people say enough's enough, they stand up and say no more of this. If they can do it. Where's Porky Will? He should be all over this thing. He should be, he should. I know he is, but I haven't heard from him. He might be asleep, too. But this is just crazy. I say something that might hurt somebody's feelings. I'm now going to be investigated for a hate crime. What kind of nonsense is this? It's not like she was lying. It wasn't defamation. She spoke the truth.
I'll tell you, I'm worried about Kel Fritzy. You know Kelly? You know Kel?
Who?
That's on Blog Talk Radio. Kel, she's very, very active with a lot of the main group over in England that's fighting these Muslims, the immigrants that have been taken over in England, and she's outspoken about what this religion is and what it's doing to England. And she's up in Canada. Well, Canada just passed that law that now Kel has to be careful what she says. They passed some law about what you say in public, what you type, that they can actually charge you now, like they did Tim Burton over in England. It's getting worse, so it's not.
No, this is your political correctness running amok, where feelings matter more than lives.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's absolutely crazy. But it is happening. It is happening.
That'll only last so long until the horror comes to their dining room table.
Right.
The people, and then once they see it, just like what happened with that gay club down in Florida.
Right.
And after that club was shot up, how many gay activists went out and started buying guns? Oh, wait a minute, you were the ones who were against. Shut up. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, but what do you want people to do? At least they have the opportunity to buy guns. You live over there in the UK where Porky Will lives. He doesn't get that opportunity.
No, he doesn't. No.
He doesn't get that opportunity. But God forbid he might hurt somebody's feelings. Oh, you hurt somebody's feelings, sir. I'm sorry. You're under investigation for a hate crime. Unbelievable.
And what's really turned
I
me
guess
on
I'm a hater, man.
You what?
look at the initial. He's a hater, he said.
Oh, okay. We'll join the club.
I must be a hater then because
You're a hater. You're noted.
The news, the headlines, the first headlines that were coming out when that bombing just happened. You read some of the headlines, it's like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? Anything they could do, any angle they could take.
Right.
They wanted to try to distance themselves away from saying it was a terrorist attack by a Muslim.
I know. They do it here in the United States as well.
It's brutal.
And you're right. You know, there was you know what? And you're absolutely correct in your assessment. For those that subscribe to the liberal philosophy of open borders and coexisting and other nonsense, when your family member or a close friend of yours is a victim of a terror attack, then maybe they might change their minds, they might change their thinking. But why does it have to come down to that? Why not just see it for what it truly is?
And you know, it was either ABC or NBC. They had a bunch of the newscasters. They had a forum, and they were discussing it. And they said, well, what we have to do is we have to make our stadiums more secure and better exits. And we have to keep in mind that this is going to happen in the future, and we have to make it harder for so many people to get hurt, and with maybe more exits, and we just have to adjust and look. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, are you out of your? How about if we go after the terrorists and stop them, rather than modify our building codes and everything to accept it as a normal thing of everyday life in America now?
No,
well,
but
let's go to a concert. There could be a bombing. Okay, well that's all right. We get new exits now, and they design the stadium.
oh well, that makes all the difference. Well, you know what? That's exactly what the London of mayors, the mayor of London said. He said, "Oh, terror attacks. That's just part and parcel of living in a city." No, it is not.
no, it's not.
But he said it.
Yep.
And of course he is, well, he's a Muslim. Look, here, a true story. This is a true story.
I promote very strong that anytime we go into a store of any kind, even my kids are, I train them to do the same thing. They need to look at people's faces and their hand movements everywhere they're at to see what's going on, because
That's situational awareness.
that one person.
It's situational awareness. We've seen that. But
Because if you don't,
it doesn't have to be a terrorist. It could be anybody. Remember that video I posted about 6 months ago with the chick with the axe at the gas station?
yes.
Remember that one? Situational awareness. If he had been paying attention, and he wasn't, he's like a zombie. Like we got 15 million of them any given hour. Everybody's looking at their cell phones. Ooh, I'm walking on the street. I'm looking at my cell phone. Oh, I got to get this text. Oh, I got to get this Instagram. That's a great picture. Share. What the hell are you people doing? They do it when they're driving. It's called situational awareness, and you have to teach it to your children. And this is post 9/11 world. This is what you have to do. It's not enough to teach your 5 and 6 year old, their name, their address, and their phone number. It's not enough anymore. You got to do like you said. Start teaching them these things, what to look for. They may not be able to put 2 and 2 together, but if you'd be surprised what little kids can see and what they pick up on.
Well, I was fixing to say, you'd be surprised if they pick up, because, I've got one that's 6, 8, 9, and you'd be surprised if they pick up on people. Just since we've
Exactly.
eye contact.
But you got to teach them that.
Like, my 9-year-old said, that guy don't look very trustworthy, Dad. I'm like, you're right, he don't.
That's right.
People like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And we have that discussion.
Look, it may not be politically correct, and I really don't give a damn. I don't subscribe to political correctness anyways. Look,
Neither do I.
when you look at somebody, you're going to know There's something in the back of your mind. You may not even be able to pick it out, but you'll know in the back of your mind. You'll hear the little warning bells going off, say something's not right. You may not be able to pick up on it right away. For example, I hate to say it, but I'm going to. We used to play a game when I was working. It was called One of These Things Doesn't Belong. And we would look at a particular geographic area and say, okay, what's missing? What's wrong with this picture? Sometimes, more often than not, there was nothing out of place. But sometimes there was. And it was up to you to start training yourself how to pick out, whoa, this doesn't look right. Why is that? That doesn't look right either. And why doesn't it look right? Well, I don't know. I just know it doesn't look right. I can't describe it. Sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right.
That's that little finger tapping you on the shoulder.
It is. Alarm bells are going off in your head, So it's the little voice, exactly.
Another thing. How come, did you hear the interview or read that interview they had with the guy's imam at the mosque where he used to pray?
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, okay, then why didn't that imam contact the authorities and say, look, I got a winner here? You got to put this guy on a list or deal or bring him in for questioning or something because something's up with this guy and I don't want the questions coming to me afterwards.
Well, you know what? I don't know why he didn't do it, but I do know this. He was teaching the anti-ISIS rhetoric, saying this is wrong, it's a perversion of all this. Who's to say he didn't? But who's to say he didn't contact him? My point is, how many people about the Orlando night shooter? What about his wife? She knew damn well what that nutcase was up to, yet she said nothing. Yep. His dad, just nothing. Don't sit there.
They said with that guy in Orlando, they're saying that he wasn't sure which direction he wanted to fly was why he bombed that place to start with. Because in their country, they're supposed to execute him if they're thinking about being gay. And even his wife even said that, so it's like, that was just totally nuts.
The problem is this. The authorities knew. Counterintelligence knew about this. Why are they constantly always behind the eight ball? Why are they got to stop being reactive? If they got the guy, the Fort Lauderdale shooter, his dad went to the FBI and said, this is what he's doing. He's going there. And yet they did nothing. They should have had somebody waiting. As soon as he got to wherever he was going, they should have snatched him up like an Israeli bag job and sent him off to, Neverland.
We've had Mohammed under surveillance for months now, and I can assure you
that
the minute he tries to blow himself up, we will catch it on video for all of you to see. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
That's exactly what No, he's right. He's right. Oh, we got him under surveillance. I don't care if he's under surveillance. If he's under surveillance, that's enough to grab him. What was that?
At least in England, they have the sense to raise the terrorist threat level. But even during Bush's presidency, we had color-coded terrorist threat levels. We encouraged people to be vigilant, keep their eyes open.
See something, say something.
That was suspicious. And that's something that nowadays people don't want to do. And I think it's a mistake. I really do think that Trump should encourage this and reactivate that type of system. But I'm not sure if that's
the media. The liberals turned it into a joke. Don't you remember Saturday Night Live and everything? They turned it into a joke about the color coding. What color is it today?
I'll tell you what irritates me.
How the hell with them?
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what irritates me is the fact that, all these schools are teaching these kids not to defend themselves and to keep calm and let whatever happen without taking care of themselves. And I'm just the opposite. I mean, I want my kids to know how to take care of themselves. Somebody comes in the room with a gun, they need to know how to protect themselves and do what they got to do to get that person down, not sit there and wait for them to be shot.
Okay, you know what? I've got experience in this. Let me impart my wisdom unto all. When my daughter was in high school, and actually, well, I'm thinking maybe a little earlier than that, we talked about many things that had to do with, I think it's Gary. No, it's not Gary. That's Mike. Okay. Okay, it was Mike. And I think his wife's in the background watching TV, but that's okay. One of the things I got my daughter was the backpack that had a ballistic panel in it. Another thing I told my daughter was, when you hear something that sounds like firecrackers, pop, 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 get out of there. Get out of there any way you can. I said, I don't care if you have to break a window. Get the hell out of there. This whole idea that somehow we can just lock the door,
Sit on our hands and do nothing.
turn off the lights, and pretend like we're not there. Guess what? Guess what, folks? That's no defense at all. Go ask what happened to the Virginia Tech shooter, what he did. They didn't fool him at all. He got into the classroom. He knew where they were. He knew what to do. And once they're inside that room, it's done. It's a shooting gallery. Look, I work the streets. I know how long it can take to get police response, especially if you're at the sheriff's office. Because, let's face it, if you're a local police officer, your jurisdiction's pretty much limited. You got 4 or 5 guys per shift. You can get there with backup, no problem. Being a sheriff's office, you got a lot of mileage you got to cover between here and there before you get there. One of the things that we started doing is this whole idea of calling SWAT and waiting for SWAT is over. That was over 10 years ago. Nowadays, we teach our guys, when there's an active shooter, you get there, go to war. Get in there and start shooting. Fight back. Because you have people there who either can't or have no way to fight back. You've got to get in there right away.
You look at these kids that are bullies, they don't pick on people that fight back. They pick on people that are defenseless.
Hold on, what we got there? I'm sorry. Porky Will, what are you talking about? Hold on. Porky Will's put something out about this. Yeah, okay. Porky Will says the BBC has reported that the public previously warned authorities about Abidi's extremism. A community support worker who did not wish to be named said several years ago members of the public called an anti-terrorism hotline about Abidi after he publicly said he was supporting terrorism and being a suicide bomber is okay. The calls are thought to have been made 5 years ago. Abidi was in custody in 2009. The judge in the UK let him out. That judge has blood on his hands. Look, I agree. You cannot always tell the future. But if you got people making statements like this, why in the hell wasn't he grabbed and deported and say, don't you ever come back across our lines again? This is crazy. And then to sit there and you call it out, and now you're under suspicion or investigation for a hate crime because you might have hurt somebody's feelings. They might have been offended by some words you might have used. I don't even know what to say. It's so ridiculously stupid. And this is why a lot of, I'm having a real tough time trying to sympathize. They knew this guy was here. They knew he was doing this. And yet they did nothing. And when they did do something, the court said, let him go. Who knows? Look, you got 3,500 terrorists. I get it. And like you said, people are coming back and forth between Syria and Iraq. Well, they're not there for a vacation, folks. As soon as they crossed over into the airport, into the customs, they need to be snatched up and immediately debriefed. Find out what they were doing there, why they were there, what they did when they were there. They should run a GSW test on them immediately upon landing.
And ship them back.
Yes. Again, what about your civil rights not to be killed and not to be a victim? I'm tired of everybody else's civil rights. What about mine? What about yours? When? Where? Why? Somebody say something.
Well, I mean, it's true.
I mean, where? Where do their rights end where mine begin? Look, you want to sit there, you want to be a terrorist, you want to support terrorism, go ahead. Go ahead. Do that. But you're not going to do it here.
Well,
period.
Here's the thing, and I think you're right. You have significant points, and these things should happen. But unfortunately, we're talking about the American mindset, which is really no different from the rest of the Western world's mindset. They wait for a tragedy to occur before rethinking.
But
And
nothing
so
ever
that-
changes,
nothing's
Chuck.
gonna be done.
But Chuck, nothing changes. They're still reactive. They're still reactive.
They sit there like a bunch of sheep. They don't want to do anything.
They've been reactive since 9/11.
I agree.
So,
Hey, you know what? On 9/11, they were reactive. After that, there was no... Why is Major Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter, why is he still collecting a paycheck? Why is he still... He's stealing my oxygen. Why? Why is he even breathing? What the hell's wrong with you people? Figure it out. This is why people lack the confidence in government, because they lack the intestinal fortitude to do the right thing. And doing the right thing isn't always easy. It's not about, gee, can I get reelected? For the politicians it is. For the rest of us who have to live with their stupid-ass decisions, this is fairly clear-cut. All right.
Sorry about that. My wife had she had the TV on. Plus,
Send her to her room. Send her to the room.
I had hip surgery, so every now and then I get a sharp jab. So
Well, I hear you.
moaning a little bit.
All right, I hear you.
I mean, the progressives have done so much for our society. They've did so much, the compassion and everything. It's taken us so far that we've lost our way.
They made us all into victims. They made us
They
all
really did.
into
But we're not victims.
dependent on the government for everything and being self-sufficient and thinking for ourselves. The left are nothing more than zombies right now.
No, you're right, Chuck. Look, the mindset of the left is that the government shall provide. Well, okay, but I prefer that I provide for myself. I know what I need. I know what I want. And I don't want to share it with others who refuse to even acknowledge the reality. You know, I'm surprised that most of our politicians can't even sit in a chair straight. I mean, being spineless and all, I'm surprised they just didn't slide right off like it was made of armor all. I just can't do it anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. Every time we turn around, it's something else. No, no, and no. Now, look, you preppers. Mike in North Dakota and I had a pretty good conversation last night. You patriots out there, this also includes you. Apparently, there's a video going around of a knife-wielding Antifa protester standing over a counter-demonstrator. This is where it begins. Mark my words. Mark my words on this, folks. Before, it was hands, chains, poles, sticks. Now they've upped the ante to edged weapons. The next logical step is, let's say it together because I know we're all thinking it, firearms. When that happens, all bets are off. And I got to tell you,
I hope the cops shoot him down at that point.
You know, if you're
They'll say their lives matter.
if you're in a liberal city, a Democratic-controlled city, you may not have the police there at all. They might be told to stand down. We've seen it before. It could very well happen again.
So that's saying Democrats' lives matter then.
You know, I think it's getting to that point. I really do. But
You know,
I
I just cannot see how these people can get away with all this crap when they're no different than the terrorists overseas.
Well, according to them, we're the domestic terrorists. They're not. They're the freedom fighters. And they'll be the first to tell you that.
How many towns are we destroying? They're the ones pulling our monuments down.
It doesn't matter. Does not matter.
I mean, no, everything that's right is wrong, and everything that's wrong is right.
Right is wrong. Wrong is right. Up is down. Down is up. Left is right. Right is left. This is the land, the world in which they live. They're angry. They're miserable. They want others to be angry and miserable with them. This is why it's a mental disorder where there is no cure. There is no magic pill for them. Their moral compass is broken, has been broken for quite some time. It cannot and will not be repaired. And for that reason, you will see them justify bringing a firearm and shooting. Now, my guess is the videos I've seen them trying to shoot inanimate objects like targets or whatever, water jugs, I don't have a lot of faith in their marksmanship. But on the other hand, if you're in a crowd situation, do you really need to aim at all anyways? So.
Well, no, they might aim at you and hit somebody.
They couldn't hit the... Absolutely. Absolutely. Too much trigger finger. Absolutely, I agree. But that's not to say that wouldn't happen. But if they've graduated to bringing edged weapons and actually employing those edged weapons, what's the next step? Because using an edged weapon is deadly force anyways. The very definition of deadly force.
Oh, that's right.
So that would imply that if you're a patriot and you happen to have your weapon with you, your firearm with you, and you are threatened by somebody with an edged weapon, I think you could make the legal argument, my life was in danger, I had no choice, and that's the way it is. Does that mean you won't be arrested and charged? Oh, you will be. Because most of the politicians don't have the wherewithal. And don't forget, politicians mean your district attorneys, your state's attorneys, whatever state you're in, you either have a state's attorney or you have a district attorney. They're politicians. They make the choice whether to charge or not. So bear that in mind. Bear it in mind, people. I'm not saying you have to be a victim, but you should be prepared. And if you do...
You're either a victim, you're a victim if they assault you, and you're a victim when they charge you. You just take which way you want to be victimized by.
Well, true.
The legal cause or the defendant cause.
Well, there is an adage. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Is it a good choice? No. Go ahead, Chuck.
I have some suggestions for...
Suggestions from Chuck. Go ahead, buddy.
Somewhere in the United States, I'm not sure if this actually took place yet, but somewhere in the United States, in certain states of the Union, there might be a bunch of Syrian refugees that were allowed into the country. I don't know how many. I don't know which states that they are in. Hopefully somewhere there's a record as to which states accepted how many. If you live in one of those states, I would recommend before taking your child or family to a big public venue like a sporting event or a concert or, for that matter, a freaking shopping mall, whether or not you should actually take them there. Simply because it hasn't happened yet does not mean it's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure there are several 100,000 patrons from an Ariana Grande concert in England that can pretty much attest to that fact. I'm not saying that you shouldn't live your lives. Obviously, you have to live your life. I get it. Everyone else gets it. But at the same time, you have to practice your due
Use common
diligence
sense.
and use common sense. If there is a significant risk out there, then it might behoove you to err on the side of caution and to second guess actually taking them out to that concert or to that sporting event or what have you. But if you need to wait for a big terrorist attack to occur in the United States so that you guys can have some type of clue and maybe rethink that, well, it doesn't say much about you, but so be it. But I'm saying this proactively so that you can save your family the grief and the tragedy. That's all you got to say on that.
Well, you know, I think
We've already decided for the 4th of July, instead of everybody going to meet somewhere in town or have a restaurant, watch fireworks, whatever, I think we're all just going to decide we're all going to come out. Everybody's going to come out here where I live, and we're going to have a barbecue and just enjoy ourselves here, not be around a big crowd, because I'm just not sure what's going to happen, you know?
I see Lisa G joined us. Welcome, Lisa G. Welcome, dear. I'm glad you're here. She's on the video feed.
You mentioned before about the about the left with the knife and how
Yes.
they ever switched to guns. Did you see that video of the liberals, the Antifa crew going to a range where they were being taught how to shoot?
I didn't. Yes, I saw the video, and I have to say, I am not impressed by the instruction they were giving or anything else.
I put the link in
That
just
video
now.
should be. Is that video viral yet? So there's an Antifa group actually got training from terrorists?
No, it wasn't terrorist.
Hey, John, you need to make them a video explaining to them how to look down the barrel and see if it's plugged when they pull the trigger.
Sir, I will not take on that liability. It's much better when they do it on their own. They don't need my help. They really don't. They do a fine enough job trying to kill themselves and others. Todd G, welcome to the chat room.
Another conservative tried telling me that don't dismiss these people. I mean, they're armed like this, and I said, are you serious? If it ever came down to it, are you kidding me? It's not going to happen. If something does happen, it's not going to last long. Don't even... is something wrong with you? What do you think? The firearm magically will handle itself?
Yes.
You have people that are afraid to even watch the video, and you see these people in action.
Hey, granted, watching them shoot is frightening, because they're 7 yards away and they're missing. They're not even hitting the damn target. Yes, that's frightening. No, don't. You know what?
Yeah, but it's 15 to 20 yards to the right or left you got to worry about.
Well, that's just it. You got to watch that. Okay, now look. What do you guys think? Should we be? What Chuck's point is this: there's going to be many soft targets. There are many soft targets here in the United States, just like there are in the United Kingdom and everywhere else on the planet. Shopping malls. We've had the shootings there. Shopping malls are notoriously soft targets. Sporting events, concert venues. We've seen these. These are soft targets. If you're smart, if you want to do the terror attack and you're smart, you can figure out a way to do some heavy damage. And I'm not going to give any examples out because I already had one ISIS member trying to join the CRN group. He got blocked. He got blocked. Got blocked right away. And it was only after I I looked at it, and I had Mike up in North Dakota. I said, Mike, take a look at this profile. What do you think? And it's like, this is a fake account. There's more to this. You couldn't even translate the Arabic that was on, the writing that was on there. I said, this is it, you're done. And he was doing some hand signals that I'd found disconcerting as well. It's like, screw you. I'm not letting you in. You can kiss my Yankee ass. I ain't letting you in. Not now, not ever. Most everybody else I let in. But I will tell you this: if you do join the CRN group page, that's fine. I do look at the profiles. I want to make sure I'm not getting something here that I don't want any part of. Well, I say, other than that guy, everybody else has been.
I do that with all mine as well.
You have to. You have to. Chuck. Where are you?
I'm in deep thought right now.
Okay, very good. I understand. I understand the Philippine Islands in the south have gone to martial law. Is that correct?
Only Mindanao, one island, due to outbreak from separatist Islamic militants.
All right.
And where is that?
Philippines.
The PI. Do you have any family in that part of the on the islands there, Chuck?
No, not in Mindanao. My family is in Luzon, the island north of that. It's still somewhat stable.
Oh, okay. Have you talked to any family members about what's going on over there? Is the
Not myself recently, no. But they're on my Facebook page, and I'm on there, so I figure if they have something to say, they will.
What about your queen?
Well, when I say my family, I'm talking about my wife's family, because it's basically on their side. So the
okay. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Trying to get you involved here, my friend.
I do have something of interest, though.
All right. Fire away.
Earlier, Trump had a telephone conversation with Duterte, and for some reason, the entire transcript of that dialogue was somehow leaked online. From Washington Post and from other. Here's what I'm thinking. There is definitely, without a doubt, a compromise of security. The news media can get their hands on it. That means the bad guys can get their hands on it too. So I'm really concerned with all these leaks that are happening. If there's ever going to be a way to clamp down on this and to somehow plug it, because there's lots of technology out there that compromise security. Blogs are one, smartphones and emails are another, especially smartphones, period.
Right.
Should they not have their phones when they go into the Pentagon or they go to the White House? Absolutely. Should the press have any phones? I don't think so. But I think that needs to be rethought. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But
all right.
It's a big problem.
I can tell you this. I've got a friend of mine. When he was deployed to Afghanistan, he was part of an intelligence unit, and when they went into for lack of a better word, they went into the secure vault. They could not have phones. They could not have computers. Nothing. Paper, pencil, nothing. They got search going into it and search coming out. You better not even have a flash drive. Now, they went in there, got their intel, they left. However, he did tell me about a story of one person managed to somehow get his laptop in there. When he came out with it, the military confiscated his laptop. He never got it back. Too bad. You knew the rules. That's the way it is. So maybe what you're saying has merit. Why do you need a cell phone? First of all, cell phones at work drive employers crazy. I get it. You remember, how many of you remember when the internet first really started getting going and you had internet connections in offices and the employers were not happy about it because they said the employees are going to be screwing off, doing the Facebook, doing everything but their jobs. And they were right. It happened. But people also got their jobs done too. So, and as for the look, I hate the press. I think the mainstream media has been lying to us for a good long time, and it's catching up to them. Should we limit their access to the White House? Good question. Yes, no, I'm still kind of maybe. Anyways. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Look, there are good arguments for it. Obviously, the press can't be trusted to tell the truth. We know that. I mean, that's not a big, it's not a big surprise. You know what's going on. Anyway, all right.
I want to see you interview him.
You don't. Well, why? Every time we hear him.
Do what?
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Tim in the chat room says the crap in the Philippines has been going on for a while. Yes, Tim's, you're correct. However, they just recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Duarte has called for martial law and enforced martial law on those two islands. I think he's tired of the nonsense and he's planning on cleaning it up. I give him credit for it. He did something that's been, like you said, it's been going on for years. And again, every politician doesn't, again, spineless, doesn't want to make a big deal. I don't know. No, I don't think. I don't think there's any of them left. I don't know. Chuck knows more about it. I think it's just ISIS inspired or ISIS backed. Rebel. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but
drive them out.
Yeah, going back to the whole security discussion, I don't think First Amendment rights should be extended to cell phones or smartphones, or for that matter, to blogs and crowdsourced media. I think it's information, classified information, conversations, even emails can be leaked to those things. The First Amendment no longer applies in the realm of national security. So somehow I'm pretty sure the liberals are going to be crying and whining about it like the diaper wetting babies that they are. But, who cares what the crying liberals feel about it? They're the ones that caused all the problems to begin with. If anything, they should be, culpable for the lack of security.
Chuck, it's a slippery slope. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it is a slippery slope. You're talking about, and I think, I think what's going to happen is this. Trump is going to come back. There's 3 staffers that are going to be fired for leaking information. If they choose to prosecute those 3, and don't forget, the president does follow my show. Mr. President, I would give orders for them to grab their passports immediately so they cannot leave the country. But once they're fired, it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be charged criminally for it. If they do, it could very well end up being, hey, thanks, Rich. It could have a chilling effect to stop the leaking. It's just a very slippery slope to go down. Look, did we like having a free media when Obama was in the White House? Yeah, we did, because we could see plainly how they were in the tank for him. But we also got information from other sources other than the mainstream media. If we go down this slope, we may not be able to have that ability to filter the crap out. Do we? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But the other option is to basically confirm who they are without them knowing, and use them to your own advantage by issuing, counterintelligence fake intel.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck. Poor Porky Will was being a smartass in the chat room. I had to smack him down like a bad dog. Could you say it again?
So, if firing these people, arresting them under FISA or whatever for espionage, if that's not in play, then the other thing that you can do is just figure out who they are, find out who they are, keep that under wraps. But if they're going to be leaking, then let them leak fake information and intel.
So you say, so you're saying set them up, let them really screw themselves, and then pull the noose around their neck and push them off the gallows. Okay.
Okay, that works too.
No, I go after the media too, not just the staffers that leaked it. I go after who in the media they leaked it to and charge them.
You could.
getting this. Yeah, and you say, you know what?
Receiving they were not authorized to receive classified material. But on the other hand, Huma Abedin seems to be immune from that statute, so I'm sure others would be too.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. I hate talking about the past administration. I don't want to give them any more credit or anything else than we have to. So, anyways. What do we got going on in the chat room? Porky Wheel. Kilroy is here. Telspa, Tim's Rants, Todd G, what if? And even Chuck's in the chat room too still. That's good. That's good. Very nice. All right. And the video feed's going well. Richard D, thank you, sir. I appreciate your compliment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One thing we need to talk about, let's get back to some prepper stuff, because I know a lot of people are listening to this for prepper tips. So let us move forward, shall we? Can we do that? You guys done talking about this? Or shall we beat the horse? Shall we beat the horse some more or no? What shall we do?
Talking about encouraging prepping as a lifestyle, and that's what the show's all about.
Very good. You get a gold star, sir. Go to the head of the class. Very good. All right. I got 3 tips here to make your food stockpile last for years. Yes, that's right. Last for years. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, okay. Look, we got to have it last.
Go for it. No. I want to hear your idea. Then I'll give you mine.
All right. Tip number 1.
I was going to be smart aleck and say don't eat it.
Oh, thank you. Tip number 1, you got to follow the HALT method. HALT stands for humidity, air, light, and temperature. These 4 elements hold all the power when it comes to stockpiling food. Control them correctly, and you can stockpile food well into the future. Humidity, keep it as low as possible. So beware of storing food in rooms that tend to be humid, such as the bathroom, laundry room, kitchen, anywhere outside. Air. Seal your food in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers in order to keep the air reaching your food to an absolute minimum. Light. Also store your food in opaque containers such as Mylar bags, boxes, buckets, inside a dark closet, and anywhere else out of the light. Even indoor lighting can shorten your food's shelf life. Temperature. Ideal storage temperature is 50 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Porky Wheel in Northern Ireland, because you use the metric system, that'd be 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. If you live in a place like Arizona with hot summers and cold winters, cold winter in Arizona. You should see the cold winters up here in the northern tyranny state. You'll need to be more particular about the environments you choose to make sure they are hugely affected by these changes. If, however, you live in a state like Washington that could be mild all year round, you might be able to get away with more. So according to the HALT method, store your food in a dry area, inside airtight containers, out of light, and in a place with cool, stable temperatures. Do not store in the attic, the garage, outdoor garden shed, or a damp cellar. Invest in containers and bags that give a good seal. Mylar bags will get you up to 30 years of shelf life. I'm going to say it again. Mylar bags will get you up to 30 years of shelf life. They're light-proof. They come in convenient sizes to store all kinds of food. They range from a pint to 6 gallons, and the most commonly used size being the 1-gallon bag. Each Mylar bag is paired with an oxygen-absorbing packet to keep your food as fresh as can be. All right. Many preppers take their Mylar bag storage a step further with a food-grade 5-gallon buckets to fill all kinds of beans, kept in their original packaging. Rice is kept loose. Powdered drink mix or other products have similar shelf lives. So, there you have it. And use a heavy mallet to seal the lid on tight on your industrialized storage. For example, if you have a 5-gallon bucket, you're going to store your food in there. In the Mylar bags, mallet, seal it. Mason jars. I like mason jars. You can do all kinds of things and they can store all kinds of stuff. But remember, they're made of glass. Light can easily contact your food and cause their shelf life to diminish. Therefore, store them in a dark place. And the importance of rotating. Food storage isn't just a set it and forget it task. Don't let a jar of canned peaches from January sit in the back of the shelf while you keep replenishing and eating the jars canned in May, June, and July. First in, first out. Keep inventory and inspect your jars for quality control. Now, which foods store the best? Here you go. 10 of them right now. New preppers. If you're not going to write this down, download the podcast, take notes then. 1, dried beans. 2, white rice. 3, peanut butter. 4, protein bars. 5, whole grains like millet, barley, quinoa, etc. 6, dehydrated meats like jerky. 7, canned proteins like tuna. 8, powdered coffee. 9, dried fruit. And 10, nuts. Hey, you all stockpile as well? Coconut and olive oil, butter, ghee, and lard, wheat-based cereal like shredded wheat, wax-covered cheese, you can do that yourself, dried pasta, powdered milk, hard candies, and candy bars. Hey, you know what food and drinks will last forever? Honey, vinegar, salt, rice, cornstarch, maple syrup, vanilla extract, sugar, water, hard liquor. Hey, it counts, people. So there you go. Mr. Chuck, go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, you covered more areas and ingredients. For me, if we're just talking about canned goods or dehydrated soups and stews and so on and so forth, I would say just add rice to it. And a can of, like a Dinty Moore can that can regularly feed maybe 3 or 4 people. If you add rice to it, you can actually feed 6 to 8 people, or you can actually feed 2 people for twice as long as you would in a can of stew. So I think rice is a very, very important way of making other canned goods last longer.
I agree.
That's about it. But
I agree. I agree 100%. You're right. Has anybody checked out? Have you guys seen that commercial? Not Wise Food. Who the hell is it? It has the food dehydrator. They're advertising all over late night television for preppers and whatnot. Has anybody looked into that? Anybody know how much they cost? How much they're charging for these food dehydrators?
I haven't seen the commercial. We have a dehydrator, and we use when we use it, we use it real regularly.
Yeah, but you live. It must take forever to get food dehydrated where you live, man.
No.
Really?
The dehydrator will do most. It'll do most stuff we dehydrate. Worst case scenario is about anywhere from 12 to 24 hours, depending on what we're dehydrating.
What kind of food dehydrator you got?
I'm not sure. What friends are food hydrator, James? Yeah, I'd be lying. Where'd we get it at? Yeah. I think we got one at the Academy. Oh, I guess my wife said come out with her store was used, but I'm saying it's one of the better brands. It's one of the better brands.
Put her on the phone. Put her on the phone. Put her on the phone. I want to talk to her right now. Put her on the phone. I want to talk to her.
Hold on. James, he wants to talk to you.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm talking on the internet right now.
Yeah.
The Ronco 5 tray electric food dehydrator is $24.99. So
Okay.
you can get up to 50, but some of the larger capacity ones are going to cost several hondos. So they're all
Hi. Is this Gene? Hi, this is John. How you doing? Tell me about your. Good. Hey, tell me about your food dehydrator. What kind is it? I could hear. We couldn't hear you quite in the background. What kind of food dehydrator you got?
I really couldn't tell you. We used to have an open country that we got at Academy Sporting Goods.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I got now is from a thrift store. And it's kind of in storage right now because of having moved.
Uh-huh.
But it is a better brand. And it does put out a little bit of heat. I do know that when we dehydrate.
Right.
And you can make beef jerky with it even if you want. You can dehydrate eggs.
How much can you dehydrate? Say beef jerky. How much could you dehydrate?
Well, you can actually buy more trays for your dehydrators.
Okay.
And expand them taller. So it just depends on how much you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
how many trays you have.
Right. Okay. Do you do a lot of dehydrating?
Well, we haven't, because of the process of moving and everything, we haven't probably since, last spring or summer.
Okay.
But I like to,
Okay.
we're not doing that much right now, but next year after hopefully we get things further developed in here with the house and we can be out in the yard doing more things, and I'd like to be able to, because Gary likes to put different vegetables together, like zucchini and squashes, onions.
Okay.
We don't grow mushrooms. I'd like to eventually, but take mushrooms and make his own seasonings with those,
Mm-hmm.
and they're absolutely fabulous in gravy.
This is a personal favor. The next time you do this, is there any possibility you can get on the radio show and tell us when you're going to do this and invite us over to your house and we can have some? You don't have to answer now. You can think about it, pray on it, get back to us later.
There you go.
We can, we can sure try.
Thank you.
All right, that's
You're
fine.
welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass it back. You're welcome.
Don't.
Pass it back to Gary.
No, why? You're so much more fun to talk to.
Oh. You probably would enjoy his conversations more.
No, I can't imagine. It must be an adventure.
You add some sunshine to the dialogue, and I think that's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you.
Yes, it is. Thank you for talking to us.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, Tim, there it is, the harvestright.com store. Tim, is this correct? The home freeze dryer, they're charging up to $3,000 for that? Are you, what? Wow.
$3,000 for what?
The Harvest Right free home dehydrator, freeze dryer.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree 100%.
We had one we bought from Academy, and I'd say it worked good, but I think it only made it a full season and it died. And this other one we got was a lot better one, and it's been working and stayed working.
All right.
But yeah, you almost can't have a garden and not have a dehydrator.
Well, all right, let me ask you this. And I don't know the answer, so I'm going to put it out there. Is there a difference between a freeze dryer and a food dehydrator? And if so, what is the difference?
I couldn't tell you on that because I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking. Tim, call in, man. Tell me. Okay. Todd G says free drying is way different than dehydration. Okay. So the home freeze dryer is about $3,000. Where if you just want a dehydrator, Chuck found one for $25. So.
Yeah, this one's a Nesco American Harvest is the dehydrator we have.
Okay.
My wife went out and picked it out.
Yeah, and she was smart for doing so.
Yes, she is. She gets a gold star tonight.
So I'm on my knees right now. I'm worshiping your wife. Thank you very much for that wise consumer choice that you've made. Excellently done.
Yeah, this one's actually got a temperature gauge on it, so you just set it and walk away and go back in so many hours and open it up and it's dried. And I'll tell you, when you're dehydrating,
Right.
a lot of people, I don't know if they're aware of this, but if you have let's say, a bunch of banana peppers,
Yeah.
if you dehydrate them, you can take 5 gallons of peppers and dehydrate them, and you only have a cup of powder by the time they're dehydrated and brown
Okay.
in the powder.
Area code 704. Area code 704. Go ahead.
Mushroom.
Hey, John, it's Tim in North Carolina.
Tim, hey, buddy. Have you got a dehydrator or do you have a freeze dryer?
Oh, I just got a dehydrator.
Okay.
Freeze drying, you're taking it down to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
And all your 25-year storage food that you can buy,
Uh-huh.
that's all freeze dried.
All right.
You're removing all the moisture and you're freezing it at the same time. And then it comes back up to room temperature and you can store it in a sealed Mylar bag.
Okay.
That's where you get the long shelf life. I mean, in perfect condition, dehydrated food, you can probably get 3 years if you put it right into a vacuum seal bag with some O2 absorbers and store it in optimal conditions.
Okay. So is that a normal price, $2,500 to $3,000 for a freeze dryer?
Oh, that's.
Or is that just Harvest Right?
Technology.
It must be.
Yeah, that's Harvest Right. But I believe Harvest Right is the only company making some sort of home size freeze dryer. And you look at them, I mean, they're the size of a refrigerator.
Oh, are they? I have not seen them. Are they the size? That's huge. Who the hell's got? Okay. Or size of a fridge. All right.
Our dehydrator's like the size of a large pizza box.
Right, I've seen those.
Just keep stacking up shelves, and
No, I've seen those,
a
but
lot easier to handle.
but another appliance the size of your refrigerator. Where the hell would you put it? I don't have the room for another refrigerator. And let's see if.
Those are for
No,
people.
And I'll be honest, we've dehydrated stuff that's lasted 3-4 years without a problem, and get into it. We have stuff that's probably very old and still good, that's being dehydrated, still fresh.
Well, I don't doubt that. I just thinking. I'm kind of guessing. I'm kind of. You know what? I guess what I'm thinking is this. I'm thinking if I had my choice, I think I'd go with the freeze dryer. How long does it take for this process to go, Tim? Do you know?
I don't. I'm looking at the website right now, and this came out I think last year is when I first heard about it, and I heard an interview with a guy on another podcast, the guy that started the company,
Uh-huh.
and he came out with all the benefits of this, and that you can get 25 years out of this stuff, but I mean, it's probably easier just to buy a big supply of food from wherever and put that aside and just dehydrate stuff
Okay.
as needed.
All right, I got Todd G in the chat room. He says to preserve something by rapidly freezing it and then subjecting it to a high vacuum that removes ice by sublimation, and it takes about 24 hours or so. Huh. So for me,
I wonder how fast when you're using this thing, I wonder how fast your electric meter is.
fast enough to cut meat at the deli. I'm thinking, so let's say it costs $2,500. If it costs $2,500, that's just to get it. That doesn't include the food or containers or anything else. Well, you know what? I'd have to do a lot of freeze drying for me to actually break even on what I'd be saving, as opposed to just buying it, like Tim said, just buying it outright from, say, Mountain Home or others.
That you'd have to put it in business.
I'm wondering if you couldn't just do that. You know what?
You really want to open that can? You want to open that can of worms with the government?
I got a better idea. 10 people throw in $300. Whoever's got the room for it, they do the freeze drying, and then because you own it as well, send it out. Send it off to those people. Let's see. The big thing with freeze drying is that you can freeze dry a whole dish. Like he says, think Mountain House, like beef stroganoff. It also holds the flavor. Add warm water, and it's ready to go. Yes. So I'm thinking, 3 people got to, 10 people got together, threw in $300. They go to buy the food dehydrator or whatever, and they start using it, doing whatever. Those 10 people all get to get the benefits of being a part owner of the freeze dryer.
Well, with that fact, you can also cold pack meat and have a pretty good meal without spending $2,500.
I'm just putting it out there, sir. I got to put it out. I got to put all the options out there. We got smart people here. Case in point, Todd G. He knows the difference between freeze drying, how it works, and what's good. We got Tim sitting here thinking, man, this is something else too. So, yeah. Tim, you're so good for calling in at my request. Thank you. You get a gold star tonight.
All right. Hey, no problem. Hey, can I just ask you guys for a personal favor?
Fire away, sir.
All right, guys, keep me in your prayers. Friday morning, I'm going to see a surgeon. I tore some abdominal muscles Saturday morning, and I got a hernia.
Oh, you know what? Painful, but yeah, we'll keep you in prayer, brother.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Have a great week.
Hey, stop doing that to yourself, would you?
Will do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. We like having you here. All right. That was Tim.
Hello, my name is Ahmed. And I had a question about the dehydrator. Is it for halal food as well?
I don't know, and I don't
Things
care.
are changing in America. America, things are changing. I thought maybe if it's good for halal, I might be buying one of these things.
Yes. We don't care.
What do you want to dehydrate with it?
Oh, my. Hello.
Tom's beard.
Oh, you're such a sad man. Oh, no. All right. All right, guys. We're pretty much at the end of the show, man. I got a few more minutes left here. And I wanted to say thanks. Thanks for all of you in the chat room. We got a ton of people in the chat room tonight. Thanks, guys. I think we had like 9 or 10 people in the chat room tonight. Very good.
Yeah, it was a good show tonight.
It was good. It was good. And I always like, hey, the more people we have, the easier it is for participation. Talk about different things, different ideas. Todd G, you get a gold star tonight just because you knew and you shared your knowledge with us. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll tell you one thing as far as prepping that's on my mind, I'm keeping an eye on.
Go ahead.
Is this law that they're talking about changing for the silencers, allowing the suppressors to become legal. Now, if they do, did you see what Ruger just came out with?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's interesting. Now, that'd be great to have something like that for getting small game or something and not letting the whole neighborhood in your area know that you've even got a 22. A suppressed Ruger 1022. But the takedown version. I hope they change that law.
They might. It depends.
Actually, right now, it's what a 10-year prison sentence if you caught with one.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'll upset the balance. Any of the laws that they do, anything that comes out of the Trump administration that they go after, especially this reciprocity, if they allow that, that'd be fantastic because that'll turn a lot of these Sullivan Act, the gun laws that we have in New York State, that'll turn them into Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be scrambling.
Right.
I don't think they'll be able to handle it.
All right. Okay, then. Let's call it an evening. Gary, Chuck, Mike, thanks, guys, for calling in tonight. It makes it so much easier. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate a good show again.
hey, guess what? Facebook didn't cut us off in the video feed. Maybe. Hey, that's a good. Any special broadcast for Field Day? I wasn't planning on it, Todd. In case you guys are not aware, Field Day. Good night, Porky Will. Field Day is when ham radio operators get together and they get a day to make special contact with different people. Say, for example, military units around the world. They're allowed to without getting penalized and whatnot. When is it? I don't know what the date is for the Field Day, Todd. Get that to me, and I'll see if I can't put something up there for that. I wasn't planning on it, so it is what it is.
I didn't know you were a ham radio guy.
I got my tech license.
Okay, I just picked up a TBY too.
You did.
I was missing the tubes.
Well, I'll teach you, sir.
World War II collectors.
Get the tubes. Get the tubes. During an EMP situation, the tubes will work. It will. Yep. The radio will work. All right. The Field Day is June 24th to the 25th. What was that?
So you're recommending getting a vintage ham radio?
You know what? The good thing about it works, and they do make vacuum. There are vacuum tubes out there. If the grid goes down, especially if you're an EMP, the radio will still work. You just got to power it, but it will work. It won't blow out. The circuitry won't blow out. because EMP has no effect on the tubes. Look at that. So June 24th, June 25th is field day, which is cool. I'll probably be listening on my radio, see what I can come up with. In the meantime, I think anything else. Number 1, get on the air. Number 2, get a radio. I think it should be number 1, get a radio. Number 2, get on the air. There you have it. Number 3, look at tubes. There you go. They're right, Todd. All right. Chuck, 2 minutes. What do you want to say?
Okay. Now more than ever, the world around us is very uncertain. Lots of things are abnormal now. The weather, politics, news reports. We got super bugs out there. They all add a certain limit of uncertainty, a certain amount of uncertainty to the future. That only means that you have to exercise more caution, be more diligent, be more vigilant. And one of the best ways that you can do that is to start prepping by purchasing more food and water and medicines, especially medicines if you have a member of your family that's dependent on a certain medication. So definitely give your family one extra day at a time by purchasing more food and provisions for them and medicines so that they can live longer and more comfortably. That responsibility solely rests upon you, the family head, the breadwinner, and the parent.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say.
All right. That was Chuck. Thank you, Chuck. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Mike in New York, 2 minutes. Go.
Stay aware, watch and search through, and be very careful what you're picking through the news. As many different news media outlets from overseas and as well as the United States, so you can try to sort through it to try to get the truth out of it. But you've got to stay aware of your surroundings and what's going on in the world. And shows like this make it happen. So congratulations again on a very good show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for calling and checking in, buddy. Good night. That leaves Gary in Louisiana. 2 minutes, sir. Go.
Well, the other guys have said it very well. I would just say keep your budget going with your prep skill, your preps that you need. Canned goods, peanut butter, tuna, rice, medical supplies, and keep a good watch on the people you meet in the streets. Watch your eyes, watch your hand movements. Just be aware of what's going around you.
I think that's excellent advice.
Very good show, and very good show, by the way.
I thought it was a good show, too. I'm glad everybody checked in. I'm sure we'll get the listenership up there. If you're a new prepper, keep checking in with us. Now, we're going to be going back. Let me see. Today's Wednesday. So, Contra Dawn, her show's Friday night at 8. Julie's show, Ladies of the Watch, for the lady preppers. You know, Gary, you should have your wife listen in to Julie's show, too. That's specifically tailored for the women.
Well, actually, we've been trying to tune in, but we purchased this internet deal, and then we found out yesterday they said it's not going to work in your area. You got to buy another brand.
Huh.
So it's like, so that's why I'm calling in with an earpiece, because
I hear you.
that's the only way I can get you, because there's no internet out here.
Gary, I've got no doubt you will figure something out. I mean, you live off grid, man. I mean, you live off grid.
Yeah,
You'll figure something out.
I'm not worried about powering it up. If it takes electricity, I can run it. That's not a problem. But for some reason, I can't get internet.
You'll figure it out. I know you will. Tell your wife thank you. Tell your queen thank you for joining us, and we enjoyed having her. So, yes. So, Julie's show Saturday night, 8 o'clock for the lady preppers, for the women preppers. Ladies of the Watch, right here in
By
Country.
the way, I also put some ladies on the CNR Facebook.
I know you did.
I'm waiting for one of them to tune in, because eventually I know she will.
All right. Very cool. Thank you. We appreciate that. I know Julie appreciates it.
Oh, that's no problem.
And then I'll be back Sunday night for another episode of CRN. I'm thinking about the Sunday night show. I'm giving a different title because, Contra Radio Network is like the big umbrella of it. So maybe I'll think of think of a name for my show on Sunday night. Like tonight is called
It would be nice. It would be nice if you could throw a schedule sheet up that we could pass around our Facebook pages for which nights, because I've got people that are trying to figure out which night podcast
Oh, okay.
or which one that it just came in, and I would like to have them be able to see when these podcasts come into.
Okay. You know what? I'll put something together tonight.
Okay. You can just shoot it straight out. You can shoot it on that, and then if you want, shoot it to my Facebook page.
I will. We'll get it to you, brother. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for calling in tonight, man. Hanging out with us. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Garrett. Good night.
Good evening and a good week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. I'm John Jeffers here at the Contra Radio Network. We've had our video feed up the entire time. I am so glad that we had some people starting to get used to it. Some like it. We're starting to get there with it. It's good. It's good. It's good. This video will be posted on the CRN like page on Facebook. The like page, not the group page, the like page. We'll put the video on there. All right. With that said, keep on prepping, people. Don't stop. This is going to be a very disruptive summer in terms of politics. Be prepared. Don't stop. If anything, always prep hard, because the grid is up. When the grid goes down, the time for prepping is over. My prepper and patriot friends, I say to you this: be safe, be alert, and be vigilant. I'm John Jeffers here at the Contra Radio Network, saying good night and thank you for listening in.